Good morning, everyone. How are you? How was your last week?
Yes, ma'am, it was very nice.
It was
Yes,
very
ma'am. It was
nice,
very
ma'am.
nice, ma'am.
So nice, and welcome you all back to the fifth session of Ambassadors of Nature program. And today you all just have me and Pramod sir, and we'll take you around to your neighborhood and we'll let you know a little more about it. And let's see how it goes. And so before we begin the technical session, I would like to request Pramod sir to ask students about their experiences for the last week's field assignments. Over to you,
So,
sir.
yeah. Good morning, all.
Good morning,
Good
sir.
morning,
Good
sir.
morning, sir.
I hope all of you have enjoyed the mammal session.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes,
I
sir.
liked it very much.
Okay, so mammals are bigger animals, and you regularly see them around. So it was enjoyable. We could see from your assignments, most of you have written very well, and so far of the 16 of you, or most of you have taken all the assignments very seriously, and you have done excellent observations. And what we are intended to do while we are planned this program of ambassadors of nature, we are happy that you are all becoming a real ambassadors of nature through observation of your surrounding and learning how to observe enjoyment and enjoying as well as learning process. Actually, this is a process to, as I told you in the first day, this is a process to attempt to learn how to learn from nature, and you are happy. It is happening now. I am very happy with that. Now we will again just very quickly, as in the previous days, one minute each person. I wanted to hear from you what was most exciting, how you learned, what was different, and how this last 1 week was interesting for you. One person. From I can Aditi can read one each name.
Yeah, sure, sir. So as usual, we'll begin with Vivan. Vivan is from Delhi. Vivan, can you please share your experience?
Yes, ma'am. So I liked the last week's assignment because I observed many animals, but I observed the squirrel the most when they were eating food. So I noticed that they use their front hands to hold their food while they ate, but unlike other animals who eat it directly from the ground. That's why I think they are very fascinating creatures.
Excellent, excellent, Vivan. You have written also all your observation very nicely. It was completely written. Very nice. Now, very nice to see you with your haircut and also your hands are on the hairs.
Yeah. Thank you. Thanks, Vivan. Next is Saida. Saida from Chhattisgarh. I believe you were not really well, but still you can share your experience.
Ma'am, I love the assignment. Ma'am, I observed cow. Ma'am, ma'am, cow has udder. Ma'am, I see that cow gives milk from udder. Ma'am,
What was the most interesting in cows, Saida?
ma'am,
Cow is a wonderful animal, but what you saw very interesting in the cow? Saida, are you there?
yes, sir.
No,
Yes, sir.
okay, fine. We saw your thing. I heard you are not well. Okay, all the best. Take care. You have done all the other presentation well. Even if this one little short of, no problem. Okay, very good. Take care of you. You can go for the next person.
Sure. We have Ritvik Bala now. Ritvik, can you please share your experience?
Yes. Good morning, everyone. The most common mammal in my area is man, Homo sapiens. So I included him in my assignment. It, I should say. So I actually wrote many things about him. The adaptations he has, they are countless. They are countless. He knows to cook, he knows to make fire, he knows to control fire, and he knows everything. Just simply everything. And the essay I wrote about dogs, the street dogs, there are more than 50 in my area. They usually, actually, they always chase us around and we had to run. We had to, instead of me running behind them, they were running behind me. That's the problem with them. So I wrote many things about them also. The assignment was very nice, running behind mammals.
Ritik, your writing is good. Your all thought process, the way you look at, actually, when we talk about mammals around us, it is actually when we talk about mammals around us, we excluded us from that. So you as a human being, the Homo sapiens as an observer, you as a representative of the Homo sapien, we ask you to see around you. No problem. You can see around your other people also as part of differently, but that is the way which we thought. Okay, no, but no problem. But in your write-up, one observe, see what we have intended to from this program is to make you more observant outside. Okay, you are done very nice. Your presentation was excellent, but one presentation which is nice I have seen, but even then it was good from your side. For example, goat eating Parthenium, which you have written.
Yes,
Parthenium,
black goat.
which is a Parthenium weed. Now, even our animals are trying to learn how to cope up with the changing environment. Is it not? Whatever is available with that. That we saw, you saw your observation, very good. And all of your write-ups was also good. Excellent. Okay, we'll go for the next.
Thank you.
Thanks. Thank you, Ritvik. So next is Devadrita Roy.
Good morning, everyone. Through this assignment on mammals, I have noticed few interesting features on their teeth. Herbivores like goat, cow, they have broad crown-shaped teeth for chewing, and teeth are present on the lower jaw, no incisor and canine. Carnivorous animals like dog, cat has large, strong-shaped canine and incisors for tearing their prey, and premolar and molar shaped are sharp teaser shaped for carnivorous animals, and omnivorous animals like squirrel and rat, they have long incisors. And that's all. I'm excited for the next assignment. Thank you.
All this you saw it, or all this you are learned from the textbook and other places?
No, sir, I'm not sorry. I'm looking forward in my work.
Okay, but Devadrita, you are the rat in from your storehouse. You have trapped it.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Huh? You trap. You are the photograph in your assignment is a rat living in a trap.
Yes.
That trap
Yes, sir.
you trapped it or what?
Yes, sir. I read it also.
Eh? Who trapped?
Read it also.
Release also.
Is it also? But okay, but it is where you from your storehouse you trapped it.
Yes, sir.
That's
Okay.
I tried to take photograph.
Sir, actually, I tried to take photograph, but I failed.
And then I released.
Okay,
And
okay,
then I release it also.
okay. Okay.
Okay, thank you. Thanks, Devadrita. Next is Adrija.
Good morning, everyone. Last week's assignment, it was a very nice experience because I saw a lot of mammals as well as I saw various features of them. But overall, the most fascinating thing that I saw that I wrote an essay on cats because there are loads of cats. I think there are more cats than humans in here. And also, I saw that in the backyard of our house, I saw a cat which hunted a rat and then ate it. So that experience, I have seen that in the Discovery Channel where leopards catch deers and all. But this was like in front of me, I saw a cat hunt a rat. So it was a miniature experience for me. And I hope to learn a lot in the further more sessions. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Good. You are observed and everything is nice. But you have written, you have said while rat here, but in your assignment everywhere you have written rodent.
Yes, sir. Yes,
Why-
sir.
Why it is? Why it is? Rodent is not. That is why rodent is not a synonym of rat.
Yes, rodent is a species. I think I did it wrong at that part.
Not wrong. The thing is, even you have at the same list, you have squirrel. Squirrel also is a rodent. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Rat also is a rodent. Squirrel also is a rodent. A hare or a rabbit also is a rodent. So rodent is a different group. I mean, so what you know, what is rodent? Rat is not a synonym of rat.
Rodent.
Now is right. Your
Okay,
observation.
sir.
You are progressing well. Go ahead. Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thanks, Adrija. Next, we have Navya. Navya, has she joined yet?
No, we are not yet.
No. So we'll just go to Vaishnavi.
So good morning, everybody. Last
Thank-
week's assignment was very nice, and initially I'm not so very good at learning and knowing about mammals. And after attending last week's session, I was able to observe and learn more about mammals. And my assignment, I mainly observed cats this week. That is my house cat, and I observed that it behaves differently in different situations. Like when it shows love and affection, it makes a long meow sound, and when it is in fright, it makes a purring sound. And I observed that it frequently scratches its nails on the tires of the car or scooty. I'm not sure of the reason. Then it was very nice last week. Thank you.
Actually, they have to sharpen their claws. So they will keep on sharpening the claws in some.
If you give your cat a cardboard box, it will just scratch on it because that's their
Yes, ma'am.
natural behavior, and they just need to sharpen their claws.
Okay, ma'am.
That's it. Okay. Good.
Thank you. Thanks, Vaishnavi. So next is Pranavi Saravanan. She's here.
Yes.
Hi,
Pranavi? Yeah.
good morning, all. In my last assignment, I learned more about mammals. It was an interesting assignment. I observed more things about dogs. I saw mother dog having 3 puppies, which was so cute but naughty. I saw cows, goats, dogs, cats, and squirrels. But I mostly observed dogs, I wrote an essay about dogs, which are the most common animals in my neighborhood. I saw squirrels, which were sneaking silently for eating food, which was kept in my compound wall. I was also silently watching. But suddenly, when any noise comes, it jumps into a neem tree, and it was an interesting sight. It had strips which was different from every schoolers. Yeah, it was an interesting and exciting assignment. I learned more about mammals in my neighborhood. Thank you, ma'am.
Pranavi, among your write-up, what I liked is you have one observation which you have written. You have seen cat and a dog always fighting, and whenever the cat see a dog see a cat, it will chase us, and they will go, and then it will take all that. Your interaction between cat and a dog. Written, right? Do you remember? Do you remember? Pranavi, are you there?
Yes, sir.
You have written about that, no? Hello?
Pranavi,
Cat,
turn on your video also if possible.
Okay, ma'am.
Pranavi? Pranavi.
Yeah.
Okay. Pranavi, do you remember your cat and dog fight?
Yes, sir.
So, why they are fighting?
Because they
On your
don't
observation.
like each other, sir.
Yeah?
Because they don't like each other, sir.
Why don't they like? Why don't they like?
Sir, can I?
No. Let her tell. She's her observation.
Because They,
See, both of them having similar, they have a competition between themselves.
yes, sir.
Cat may take something which his dog gets, and dog may see the cat is coming to snatch one of something he is getting. So this is a
Yes.
competition between these two. So he don't want somebody come and snatch his requirement, whatever he going to get. Okay,
Yes.
this happens in the nature. Very closely related animal, or even not even distant related animal also, if they have to share this common resources, common thing, they will fight because they wanted to get their part of the thing. So they will not like somebody who comes and take their resources, right?
Yes, sir.
Good observation, good writing. Okay, Navi.
Thank you.
Okay, next.
Thanks, Pranavi. And next is Tarun Siddharth.
Good morning, ma'am. Good morning, sir. I loved the assignment that was given last week because I never noticed that more than 40 cows were in my neighborhood until the assignment. And one interesting thing which I wasn't able to include in the assignment was when, like ma'am said, if the cows graze in a herd or any other animal, one animal or two look out for wild species or anything that comes to attack them. So I noticed this when I was going to play tennis at the club. Some cows were grazing, and one cow was absolutely staring at me for about 5 minutes until I entered the court. And others were grazing, but except that. And I also noticed the thing that cows sit on. I mean, crows sit on cows, but the storks and the cranes never sit on crows. But they just stand beside them. I even took a photo of that, but I wasn't able to include that because everything happened yesterday, and I wouldn't have my camera if something interesting happens. Thank you, ma'am.
Tarun, your write-up, whole assignment write-up was excellent.
Thank
Okay.
you.
And this point, what you said, no, cows, when a crow sit on that, on the body of the cow, and your egret, your stock, what you say, it's not stock, it's egret. The egret walk behind the thing, because crow try to eat, maybe sometimes take advantage, otherwise even try to eat some insects on the top of the body and all. But this other cattle egret, which walk behind the cattle, and always when it browses, the grasses disturb the insect which comes, goes on eating for them. So that
Yes,
is why they are not sitting on the top. They don't get. Sometimes they sit for advantage, but otherwise mostly walking behind is more actually benefiting for them. So your observations are very good. Even your write-up, whatever observation you have put up also was very good. Excellent progress, Tarun Siddharth. Congratulations.
thank you, sir.
Okay.
Thank you. Thanks, Tarun. Next is Krishna Kishore.
Krishna Kishore, where are
Good
you?
morning, sir. I really enjoyed the assignment, sir, because I had that buffaloes shed from past 1 year, but never I thought to look into it. But day before yesterday, when I went there, the keeper he himself allowed me in, made me sit, and told to write its observation. I felt very happy, and I wrote its observation. I didn't understand the value of the buffalo till I get this assignment. And also, I understood that pigs are the most hated mammals by every other organism. And there are many foundations in the world for cows, dogs, and other mammals, but they will see pigs as ruthless. In Christianity, they will tell pork should not even be not Christianity. In Islam, pork should not even be said by their mouth. I didn't understand what's wrong in that, because they will clean our dirt, they will eat our poops, they will like they are like area wise scavengers. I felt very compassionate for them, and I also felt sorry for them because many other humans are destroying their habitats and making them not sufficient for living nicely. Thank you, sir.
Okay, if they are so much good, so why should we kill and eat them? We should not kill and eat them. No, that's a more important thing. Anyway, that apart, you in your write-up you have written wild dogs and wild pigs,
Yeah.
right? Where did you see wild dogs and wild pigs?
In that forest area, sir, they are different from the street dogs and street pigs, sir.
Wild dog is a different animal, man. It is not our
It's a
regular
completely
dog.
different species. And I think we are sure you must have not seen them.
What you have seen must be stray dogs which capture some sort of wild characteristic inside the great forest, a 2-acre forest in your surrounding. So in that area, I do not expect a wild dog patch.
Wild dogs are dholes, right? So
yeah. Those. So wild dogs, what you have seen, definitely I do not think that it is a wild dog one. Then wild pig also, I doubt in that small forest which I know you have 2-acre or something forest, wild pigs are called wild boars or wild pigs, which is available. It will be generally available in the larger forest areas, but not in the urban area. Okay, so wild dog and wild pig, I think is wrong for in your recording. That is one. But one observation I liked, your observation thought very much. You have thought about it, how the buffalo can move its skin separately. We cannot move our skin. Vibrating the skin, you have written, right? Because when the insects come and sit on it, and they have a special ability, they have hands like us to rub around to chase away the insects. So, but they know how to voluntarily move the different parts of the skins when the insects sit on that. That is a peculiar characteristic of the cows and buffaloes and all. They can, wherever some insect come and sit in somebody, that area skin, they can vibrate and then chase the things around. So that character you have observed, written, excellent. But wild dogs and wild are not. I don't think wild dogs is correct at all. Okay, but all philosophy things are good. But everything should be based on your observation. That is what we wanted to hear. But you have done it nicely. But this observation of the vibrating skin is also correct. It's adaptation, particularly given to it is there for the battles. That is good. Okay. Congratulations, Krishna Kishore. Okay.
Thanks, Krishna
Thank you,
Kishore.
sir.
So next we have Pranavi Kulathungal.
Good morning, ma'am and sir. This assignment was very useful, and this experience was also very good. And I noticed that when I kept water from urad dal water for the cow, it was not drinking because from practice it was drinking waters by putting salt. So it was not drinking when I keep without putting salt. I noticed that from the cow and the monkeys. I saw many of the monkeys in my apartment, and it is not at all afraid, and it was often coming to the house through the balcony and seeing if there is any food over the house, and it's going, and it's not at all afraid of people. I noticed that. Thank you, sir.
Okay, Pranavi. The point is here. You said when the salt they put in water, then only the cow drink. It is a by practice, as you said rightly said. It's a by practice. It is actually this is what people do. Actually, they don't need the salt the way which is we are putting it. They are learned everything. Even many human beings have a habit of actually changing their habit putting salt. Once they have tasted with the salt, they won't like without salt. That is we have manipulated them. We have changed their habit. Very good observation. Next.
Next is thanks Pranavi. Next is Tarun Moisuddin.
Good morning. One of my observations was that the squirrels here are quite different from the ones that are in the city in Mumbai. These here are much bigger and furrier, and they also make a lot of noise. They almost look like small cats because they're that big. I also observed that they're very, very territorial, and they made a huge racket whenever a bird or a lizard or even a human for that matter entered their territory. Thank you.
Where are you, Tarun, now? Tarun,
Sir, I'm in Kihim, near Alibag.
near Alibag. Is there any forest area nearby?
Yes, sir, lots.
Okay, that's why you are seeing langur and macaque and all. Which langur you are seeing there?
Sir, the white-bodied one. I don't really know the name.
Okay, white-bodied and face is black.
Black.
Yes.
Okay. Common langur. Okay, good. So how many were there, langurs?
So one was only there, and then later my dad saw the rhesus.
It has a very long tail, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So what did you see the difference between a langur and a macaque?
So they looked quite different. So my dad was describing them to me. I didn't actually see them because he saw them. I was here, he was downstairs.
You didn't see them?
No, sir. My dad saw them and he described them to me.
Can you write that? This is what we have asked you to write your observation, right?
Yes,
sir. You should go and see it now. Okay, seriously. All the best. Macaques and langurs are two different groups of primates. Macaque specifically has a cheek pouch. It will keep the food in the cheeks and slowly this thing and all. Langurs don't have that. Langurs are mostly either eat fruits or leaves and kind of thing. Macaques eats many other, including the insects and animals. Okay, so come to the next. Thank you. Congrats, Tarun.
Thank you. Thanks, Tarun. Next is Ishani.
Hi everyone. So last week assignment was really wonderful to observe the mammals. I have two interesting things to say now. One is about a squirrel. I can't spot squirrel regularly in my neighborhood, but one day when I went out, actually Friday evening, went out, I saw almost dead squirrel in my doorstep. I saw its teeth and its incisors are very, very long to eat that nuts. And I can't attach that photographs in my assignment because I submitted that before I saw it. So another thing is about the dogs. I have a dog in my house, so about that, it does very, very interesting things in some situations, like it has fight with other street dogs whenever it comes to his territory, and whenever he goes out for walking, he just has fight with other street dogs, and the other street dogs come near our dog and try to bite it, and like that it becomes. And I have seen hairs in my surrounding, but not regularly, uh, but one or two times, so I can't even observe it clearly, so I wrote about the domestic animals. Thank you.
Okay, good. Congrats, Ishani. Okay, next.
Okay, thank you. Thanks, Ishani. Next is Pragadishwaran. He's not here. So we have Arnav.
Yes, ma'am. This week's assignment was really very interesting. But the most wonderful thing and interesting thing I found about dogs was that whenever they hear any sound, they always get up and look here and there, that from where the sound is coming. And as I was playing with my ball day before yesterday, I was playing with my ball in the evening and the dog was resting. So whenever I was hitting the ball on the ground, he was again and again getting up with his ears wide open and looking here and there, that from where the sound is coming. Thank you.
Okay. Good. Good. Congrats.
Thanks. Thank you, Arnav. The last one is Parthiban. Parthiban is also not here, I guess.
Okay.
Ma'am, can I show you a caterpillar? It's actually eating a leaf right now.
Sure.
Ma'am, here over here, this is a common Mormon. It just ate one leaf over here and another leaf over here. Can you see it?
Yeah.
You give them more leaf.
Yeah, every day in the morning, at evening, and at night, I keep a twig of curry leaf.
And curry leaf, you keep on giving them. After a few more days, you keep some small twig also inside. One twig also, small twig.
Yeah, because then it has to.
Sir, over here, like earlier twigs.
Not that far. Slightly bigger twig, you keep it
Slightly big on top, so that it can.
It can keep some slightly bigger twig inside, and also little more leaf. You put.
Because now they will eat more, so you have to put more.
Now
cover it nicely.
They will eat more, and then after, I hope the size I am seeing, within another few days, it will start pupating it. When the pupa becomes, then wait for the wonderful butterfly to. Okay.
Okay.
So before that, you place a nice twig and lot of other leaves, and so that it can hold on and start pupating.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay.
And there's a cocoon also, but it's on the terrace right now.
Okay.
Keep observing that.
Ma'am.
Yeah, who's this? Ishani.
Ma'am, actually, I got home 2 common banded alls caterpillars. When a tree got cutted, I found those 2. They were pupated, and I released it mostly 2 days ago, I think so.
Very good.
It was a successful observation.
Okay, good. So now, with all very good. Now we will stop your interaction with this. Now this today, the today's session, Aditi, my Dr. Aditi herself is taking. Today she will introduce you to the wonderful. See, there are now, you have seen birds, butterflies, insects, mammals, and other lot of things, even plants, everything. You have learned how to observe all those things, right? All these together, plants, birds, butterflies, insects, mammals, snakes, all that, everything put together is all put together into one place, generally, and interacting each other. We call it as an ecosystem, right? There you have that all put together. How you will look the whole thing together? How ecosystem together? What are the now you independent component you have learned. Now Dr. Madam Aditi will explain you how to link to the overall ecosystem around you, the nature around you. Nature is not only bird or animal or a snake or a mammal. Nature is all together with their interactions. That is what more interesting, and their interactions are equally interesting. We will look as, not as Ritik said, you are also, definitely we are also part of it, but we, from as an observer, we will look at them, how wonderful they are. So how to look into that, Dr. Aditi will talk to you today. I think over to Aditi, you can now your today's presentation.
Thank you, sir. So I'll just start sharing my screen. Can you all see my screen?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, great. So, hi and good morning once again. And so let's begin our session for today, and let's learn to explore our neighborhoods a little more. Of course, you all have been just around your neighborhoods doing all your assignments, but this time it would be a little different. So let's just begin. It has been a month since you all joined us for this wonderful program. And let's recall our last month's journey. It's been a month. So can anyone summarize the last 1 month for all of us?
Can I, ma'am?
Yeah, go ahead.
So first we had a session about plants. About plants, we saw different types of diversity about the plants and different types of leaves. In assignment also we got to see different types of leaves, flowers and everything. And about birds, we saw like which tree it depends to, and how many types of birds are there, and the interactions between same species and different species of birds, and the sizes of birds, and about the raptors or the predators, preys and everything. About butterflies, we saw families of butterflies, 5 families. In 6, we saw 5 families of butterflies, and observing them through their families. And also about mammals, we saw about big mammals, small mammals, and cats in depth. In about their feet, about their teeth, and everything we can observe easily. So these are the summary, ma'am.
Yes, thanks. Thank you. I think that was Ishani. So thank you, Ishani. So yes, we all saw, the world of plants, the world of birds and how they are interacting, the different forms of butterflies, which I'm sure many of you were very new to it and you got to know what are all these creatures, and of course, different adaptations for mammals. So, so far, that is what have we've been learning. So what are we going to learn today? So far, we've been learning about the individual groups of either plants or animals. And today we'll try to go a little further in learning and understanding some of the unique ecosystems around us. Also, if you can recall, in some of the previous week's assignments, Pramod sir and we asked you to note down your observation and mention the names of each habitat. So, right. So all of you mentioned different habitats. You remember doing that for your assignments?
Yes.
Yeah. So then can anyone tell me exactly, in one word or in a one sentence, what is the difference between a habitat and an ecosystem?
Okay.
Okay.
Who's this? Tarun. Yeah, go ahead.
A habitat is a place where a species lives, like one type of species, but an ecosystem is where a lot of species, including plants, animals, trees, and every birds and everything live together.
Right. So that is what overall the habitat and ecosystem is. So today, before we move on to what is to observed around us, we'll go to the basic concept of these two terminologies just to have all of you and give you an idea, because some of you already must be knowing it, some of you are learning, and some of you are completely new to it. So the term habitat, basically, it has been used since the late 18th century. It originated from a Latin word called habitare. Habitare, it's a Latin word which means to inhabit or to dwell. So this word itself goes back to another term which calls habir. Habir is another Latin term which means to own or to have. So it seems logical that if you own a place, it's your home, right? You have to own that place and it's your home. So that's how this entire term has originated. When it comes to in ecology, habitat is an ecological or an environmental area that is inhabited by a particular species of animal, plants, or any other organisms. In other words, it's just a natural home for any organisms. So an animal, particularly, they need majorly 5 things to survive. So can anyone tell me what are these 5 things?
Okay.
Who's this?
Ritik.
Ritvik, yeah, sure.
Food, water,
Shelter, ma'am.
shelter, protection.
Mate.
Air, ma'am. Air.
Right. So yeah, so yes, an animal needs food, water, air, shelter, and a place to rear its young ones. Okay. So this is a basic, example of what habitat is. So now there are many different kinds of habitats all around the world, and they are mainly categorized into terrestrial forms. Like here we see mountains, grasslands, polar regions, forest, desert, and urban areas, and also aquatic forms like freshwater habitats, like here it's an example of a wetland, or marine ecosystems. So marine habitats. So these are the two broad categories: terrestrial habitats and aquatic habitats. Of course, there are many more intertwining habitats between. So these are the eight major categories of habitats. So and different animal, they need different kinds of habitat and different amounts of space to live in. So if you see, habitats can be as large as grasslands and even marine ecosystems. These are mainly for organisms or animals who need larger areas. Like if we see, this is wildebeest migration in savanna grasslands, African elephants, then whales and turtles in marine ecosystems. So different kind of animals, they need different kinds of space. So these are large animals that need larger space. And then there are some animals who need really small, tiny spaces. Like for example, a burrow. Here, a meerkat, you can see they are digging out a burrow. Or even lizards or reptiles who just need an undersurface of a rock. Or even a tree hole, which can be used by birds or mammals, by reptiles. And or a small corner of your room where you'll find lots of insects or spiders. So these habitats are generally termed as microhabitats, okay, because it's a very small place that they are confined to. But one thing is common amongst all the life forms, that is, they cannot survive alone. So what do they need? So what do they need? What do you think?
Company.
Ma'am, pray to eat.
Basically, all living needs support of an ecosystem to grow and to flourish. So the term ecosystem was first used in a publication in 1935 by a British ecologist, Arthur Tansley. An ecosystem is nothing but it's basically a interaction of all things in a specific area. These things are both biotic or abiotic. I'll come to both biotic, which is living, and non-living things. I'll come to them in a short while. And all these ecosystems are mainly interconnected in many ways and do not have a designated boundary. Some may look similar to one another, or some may look entirely different from each other, like these two forms. There are two completely different forms of ecosystems. But all ecosystems have some basic components falling into two broad categories. All right. So we'll begin with the first component, the first one being the abiotic factors or abiotic component or non-living parts of an ecosystem. So these are basically sunlight and temperature, air or wind, types and amount of water, and rocks and soil, right? So essentially, rain, light, wind, temperature, all these factors are generally called climatic factors. And if we go about, a little further down, soil, the pH of a soil, or the minerals or the topography of a particular area are all edaphic factors. So combining all these two, they combine and form abiotic factors, which is very essential for all living organisms to survive. Because without any of these, if we miss out any of these criteria, we or any other living organisms won't be able to survive. So coming down, so this is one component, which is abiotic factors. The other one are called biotic factors. The second component of an ecosystem is biotic factors, which essentially is the living parts of the ecosystem, which consist of mainly three things. I'm sure many of you must be knowing about it. So if we see, the first component are the producers. So what do we see here? They produce or make their own food, example, plants and phytoplanktons. So how do they make their own food? I'm sure all of you must be knowing it, right? So how do these producers make their own food?
By the process of photosynthesis.
Exactly. So this is the basic, requirement which is needed for the producers to make their own food. And right, so without these producers, without these producers, no other animals would be able to survive, because all animals are consumers. They are essentially consumers. Some get their energy from eating plants, essentially the herbivores, which are grouped into primary consumers. Whereas, some others, they just eat other animals or eat both plants and animals, essentially carnivores and omnivores, which are again grouped into either secondary or tertiary. So these are little details about, all of this. You don't have to go. So basically producers and consumers. And the third major component are, can anybody guess what is the third major component?
Decomposers.
Exactly. So the last one are the decomposers. So the examples could be, what could be the examples?
Vultures.
No.
Bacteria.
Bacteria.
Who said vultures? Who said vultures?
Tarun ma'am.
So what are vultures? Who was this? Can you name yourself? Who's this?
Tarun ma'am.
So Tarun, what are vultures?
The scavengers of nature.
Okay, so will they fall into decomposers group or different group?
A different.
Which one?
I didn't learn about it still, ma'am. So.
Okay, so see, the vultures would be again a part of consumers. All right. So now, can anybody tell me what are decomposers then? Some example?
Bacteria and microorganisms.
Okay, right. So the basic examples are bacteria and fungi. So which consume dead plants and animals and then break them down into nutrients that are then released into the soil. And these nutrients are then again used by producers that help them to grow, and the cycle continues again. So these are the three basic components, producers, consumers, decomposers. They are decomposing and again producers are using, and the cycle continues. So now you know that, in an ecosystem, there are abiotic factors and biotic factors. Abiotic factors are essentially all the non-living components, and the biotic factors are essentially all the living components, right? So now you know what habitat and ecosystem is and what is the difference between the two. So habitat is the natural environment in which an organism lives, whereas ecosystem is the interrelationship between the biotic and the abiotic components of the environment, right? So now, telling you the broad idea about what is this, now you all must be thinking and wondering, how can we look for an ecosystem around our neighborhoods? Surely we all can, and we can find many different forms of ecosystems. So I'll give you some very brief examples. So what you see in the first three pictures are all around my native, village home. It's in West Bengal. So all these three ecosystems are just around my ancestral home. So first one, if we see, it's an agricultural ecosystem. This entire place is a bamboo thicket. And this is a pond where we'll find all kinds of plants and, reptiles and fishes and, small turtles. And what we see down here is, something like, suburban setup, where you will see that far behind there is an urban line, and then there's a wetland and all. So this again is a type of ecosystem. Sorry. And what we see here, some of you, or some of you may even live in coastal areas. So if you just step out of the house, what you see around is a coastal ecosystem. So these are the natural ecosystems that we have in non-urban areas or suburban areas or rural areas or coastal areas. What we also have are the urban areas that we live in. So Navya is not here with us, but I remember Navya once told in the first session that, she doesn't have anything. She lives in Delhi. She doesn't have any thing around her except for one tree which was planted by her grandfather. So, and if you all remember, Pramod sir also told you that, a tree itself is an ecosystem. So what we see here in the first three pictures are, if you see there's a tree which painted stalks are roosting on it, there's a tree hole which is, inhabited by a spotted owlet, and even several other reptile species and all, they also dwell inside these kind of holes. And you'll see a camouflage spider. So there'll be many more insects, and even, decomposers will be there. So you'll find an entire ecosystems on one tree itself. Also, if you're living in a completely urban setup, your own backyard or your, a front porch, everything will form into one, and you will see a lot of things interacting. All the living components and the non-living components all interacting together. You will see a small spider, you'll see, birds and their nests, and, a lot of other organisms. So this is basically a gist about what the entire ecosystem is all about. It's a combination. You have to look at so far you've been looking all individual things, and now you have to look in a more collective manner. So can anybody tell me what is this?
Ma'am, a porcupine.
Porcupine.
So has anyone seen a porcupine?
I have.
Yes, ma'am.
Where did you see it?
I saw
I'm
it
in
in
top slip.
Hyderabad in a reptile house.
It's called Shojaru.
Shajaru, right. Yeah, that is, I think, Debadrita. She is a colloquial term expert. So, so all of you have seen it in wild or you have seen it in zoos?
Zoos.
Wild.
In zoo.
Okay. And so
In
what are
wild,
these?
ma'am.
What are these? Which group or family do they belong to?
Consumers.
Is that Navya who joined us just now? Navya, did you join us? Anyways, so what are these? What is a porcupine basically?
Rodent, ma'am.
It's a rodent, right? So yes, it is a porcupine. The species name is Indian crested porcupine. Okay. So this Indian crested porcupine, this is one of the 3 species of porcupines which we find in India. So I'll give you an example about this one particular species and how we can relate its habitat and the ecosystem. So this is what I worked for my PhD. So I'll just give you a brief about what I did, and I'll show you a small clipping about. We'll come to it shortly. So you can see this entire, porcupine. They just it's there in the entire Indian subcontinent, going up till Saudi Arabia and Egypt. So basically, apart from these, we have 2 other porcupines which are there in the northeastern part of our country. So we'll not go to that. So we'll stick on to the Indian crested porcupine. So now this Indian crested porcupine, basically I worked in an area called Keladeo National Park, which is Bharatpur Bird Sanctuary. It's in Rajasthan. And it is a very small area of just 30 square kilometers. But this area is basically known for birds and migratory birds. But what I did was completely different. I just worked on a rodent, basically. I just worked on, porcupine and how it lives. So as I moved on, I realized that this fellow, porcupine, it is actually known as a pest. Pest, I'm sure you know what pest is, right? You know what pest is?
Ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
So basically,
Yes,
they all across the globe, in fact, in many places where these porcupines inhabit, they are considered a pest because they go to the agricultural fields and they just take out the roots and, they destroy many tuberous plants and animals. Not animals, tuberous plants, basically, sorry. So, so they are considered ecological pest. But are they really pest? We need to know. What we designate an animal to be may not be. It might have a very important role in the ecosystem. So to explore that, I realized, and this Bharatpur is it's a very, if you see, these are just agricultural plots. This is the urban area, and in between there is a small forest patch, and right in the center is a wetland area. So basically, this place, and this man, Dr. Salim Ali, had a long-term association with Keladeo National Park, and he was amazingly fascinated by the park's convoluted or complex ecosystem. And mind you, the entire park is a man-made ecosystem. So it was made, it's a long story. Some of you can just Google and see how this area was made. So basically, it's a completely man-made ecosystem surrounded by, humans, just agricultural fields and urban areas. So now what we see is this entire Keladeo National Park, it has a mosaic of habitats. It has a wetland, tiny bit of wetland area, tiny bit of woodland areas, tiny bit of grasslands areas, and shrubland areas. So of course, I was working on these 3 habitats, and I was looking for porcupines. And where to look for porcupines is to look for the burrows. I cannot personally go and look out for porcupines in the daytime because they are completely nocturnal. So I had to look for their poops or the quills. Quills, these are called quills. So I had to look for them and I had to find out where they could be and had to search for these kind of burrows. These are typical porcupine burrows. So now you all must be wondering how this fits into the ecosystem thing, right? So this is a place where the porcupine lives. It's a microhabitat. Remember I told you about what microhabitats are. It's a small burrow. And this porcupine basically creates all these burrow systems. And amazingly, we found out by the end of the 3 years of my study that 22 vertebrate species were actually using porcupine burrow. So basically, this entire burrow system, which is a microhabitat for porcupine, is actually an ecosystem. An ecosystem because it inhabits or supports in many forms, whether permanent, or temporary. Many forms it supports many animals. And of course, many invertebrate species, which I could not list, but there are many kinds of invertebrate species. So what I'll do in the next slide, I'll show a small video clipping of all different kinds of animals that this particular, which used porcupines burrow systems, right? So we'll just move on to the, so basically, as I told you, 22 species using porcupine burrows, including 10 mammals, 8 birds, 3 reptile species, and 1 amphibian species. And mostly, they were the most common persistent visitors were several kinds of birds, and other animals like mongooses, rats, squirrels, hares, jungle cats, and small Indian civets. And one of the permanent occupants were bats. I'll show you, because you must be thinking that bats they roost on trees, which is actually not true, because there are different categories of bats. One are mega chiropterans, or big bats like fruit eating bats, and one are small microchiropterans, which are insect eating bats. So most of these small microchiropterans, they roost in many small areas, including burrows. So this was very fascinating, and both porcupine and bats, they were found to be using the same burrow at the same time. And astonishingly, there was one enormous large size predator, which is Indian rock python. This python is also a permanent occupant of porcupine burrows. And again, porcupine is a prey for the pythons, but they both use the same place. So like that, there are many other animals like jackals and hyenas and all. So I'll just show you this. So all of you can see this, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
So these are porcupines. They are the main architects of what is called the burrow ecosystem. So you will see 9 of them will be coming out one after the other. I used remote controlled cars, and I just mapped that entire system and how it is. So again, you will see another porcupine here. There's one peeping from inside. There's one foraging around the place. So what do you see here? You know what porcupine babies are called?
Joyce.
They are called porcupets. You'll see 2 porcupets here. And of course, did you saw the bats coming and trying to come inside, but they just
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, yes.
Yes, ma'am.
So what is this?
Python.
Python.
So it is emerging. It is coming out from the daytime. So now you will see that porcupines are using the same system, but they are using at night. I mean, they are coming out at night, and these pythons are coming out in the daytime. So there's a segregation of time. They're using the same house, but they are using different rooms in that house and different times. So they don't really, interact much. Basically, python is getting a support from porcupine, because python can't dig out a hole, but porcupines can. See. So now you will see these birds, they go inside these burrows where porcupines and pythons are both inside, and they go inside for foraging. So that means inside there are a lot of invertebrate species and insects. Here you can see this bird taking out and trying to kill a worm and trying to eat. Poor fellow didn't realize that there's a python sitting here and got scared. This is gray Indian mongoose. They are temporary users. They just come here and they just take shelter. Jackals, they use porcupine burrows, but they evict out porcupines and pythons. They have enormous fight. They evict out, then they modify a little bit, and then they basically their pups and all, they use it for that. So once they have a fight, and once the jackal wins, and occupies the burrow. It evicts out pythons and porcupines, and then an entire family of jackal comes in. Basically, they use the burrows to give birth to the pups. So for about 45 to 50 days, they use this particular ecosystem. And all those days, every day, porcupines, they come and they visit these burrows.
Ma'am, is that the same burrow you have photographed?
Sorry?
Is that the same burrow or different burrows of porcupines?
So these are, I covered the entire landscape and I used many more burrows. Like I had some 50 odd burrows, but I chose some, few burrows for permanent observation. What is this? Hyena.
Hyena.
Yeah. So it's a predator, of course, but it's more of a scavenger also. Hyena pups. So all these animals, and of course many more, which I have not compiled here, as I told you, 22 species, they were found using these particular kind of ecosystems. See. So now it started. Anyway, so this is what I had for you this time. And that's what basically the entire thing was all about. It was looking into a particular kind of habitat and then looking for a particular kind of ecosystem. So I gave you this one example. Of course, I'm not asking you to go out at the night and look for burrows and stuff. But this is one example that I just wanted to give you because I just completed my PhD and I thought I should just share it with all of you. So this is what I have for today. And if you have any questions, just let me know.
Ma'am?
Yeah.
No, ma'am, I don't have any question, but I want to show you something.
Sure.
Yes, ma'am, my father brought this porcupine spine.
Oh, great. It's called porcupine quill.
Yes, ma'am. He was driving and he accidentally saw that
okay.
The porcupine is dead and his quill was spread out there, so he brought one.
Okay. Anyone else?
Ma'am, I have a doubt.
Who's this?
Ma'am, Tarun.
Tarun, yeah.
Ma'am, did you film that video all by yourself?
So I used camera trapping. Camera trapping is a method that we use to study animals, especially nocturnal animals. And since I was working on a group of animals, I had two basic, methodologies. One was camera trapping. So I used camera trappings. I used to place camera traps there. And there are these camera traps called passive infrared camera traps, where if an animal passes, it automatically clicks. So that I use those kind of camera traps. And I also
motion sensing camera.
Exactly. Motion sensing camera traps, and basically it's based on passive infrared rays. And for pythons, because pythons are very sluggish creatures and they are very slow, and even cameras could not detect their movement because sometimes they're really very slow. So for them, I used camera traps, but in a constant on mode. So it used to be always on. And I used another method. So to see what's inside the burrows, I used these camera traps fitted on a remote controlled vehicle. So I used to maneuver the vehicle inside and I used to map the whole, basically the entire burrow systems.
Yes, ma'am, thank you.
Okay. So now you know what you have to look around, right? You have to collectively look around the entire ecosystem. You don't have to look for a particular thing. You need to know whether any non-biotic factors are influencing their activities or their behaviors or their interactions. So I guess now we'll move to Pramod sir.
Thank you, Aarti. So, Aditi. Aditi, all of you must have learned a lot of things about now. See, till last week, you have learned different components. Now this is an integration of all different living organisms with their own background non-living system. There is a constant interaction with the living and non-living. Non-living, living is what, like water, land, even all different kind of substrate, I mean, all that thing. Air, everything is a part of non-living thing. And also the living organisms like birds, butterflies, insects, plants, everything. And there is a constant interaction that makes an ecosystem. She very in detail, she showed you about the burrows as an ecosystem. Okay. An ecosystem can be burrows, it can be one pond, it can be a river, it can be an ocean also. The whole ocean is an ecosystem in that way. And also, maybe in a tree, you saw a small hole, a tree hole. It will have some water after the rain. That can also become a very interesting small temporary ecosystem. There are so many different kind of a thing. How an ecosystem. Your garden can be an ecosystem. If it is a lot of things, interactions of many species are, if it is there, that can also be an ecosystem. A small pond in front of you can be an ecosystem. It all, how you see different kind of biotic component, what Aditi showed you, that is a biotic component means the different types of living organisms in association with the non-living background of the whole living organisms and their interactions, their survival, their travel. That is all making an ecosystem function. There are definitely, there is lot of minor and major ecosystems are there in our surroundings. Start carefully looking at them. Next 1 week, your assignment is that your observation of these interactions actually. So far, your observation of one animal and their life, or one plant and their life, their variability, that their variation. That was your observation. Now, this coming week, your observations are on the interactions, because that is the key of all survival. That is the key of an ecosystem. Interaction within group and also between. Within group, you are also, all these are you are observing it. When you are looking at dog, how dog interact with other dog and how the dog interact with you, you have observed. When you are seeing a cattle, you are seeing how the cattle are associating with the birds and the insects and the plants and all you have observed. But now the same observation you are looking in a different angle. The change is the change of the angle in which you are looking. Till now you are looking at the animal and their interaction. Now you are looking at the interaction as the main thing. Ecosystem, the interactions are more critical. You are looking at in a one location, and in one location what are the animals are there. Earlier you are looking at animal and where it all going and what all it is doing. Now you are looking at one ecosystem, one location. And what are the biotic elements are there? Biotic means all living organisms. What are the abiotic elements are there and how they are interacting? This is the way. Today you are changing your perspective, from where you are looking at it, how you are looking at it. That is what you are going to change. The world is a biosphere, no? The whole above the earth, we have a complete living sphere is there attached, whether in an ocean or a land. A living organisms completely living on earth. This makes a complete another living sphere that is called biosphere. In that biosphere can be divided into various kinds of ecosystems, many ecosystems, very small, just like a hole in a tree, or even to a very big as a ocean also. So it varies how you look at it. That is more important. Now this next week's assignment, we will come into that. Now you have one more, actually 2 more weeks are there other than this week. The next week also we will have another program. The assignments will actually keep on coming lesser and lesser. But next one more week, you have a serious assignment. After that, next year, the final day, final is the 27th Sunday. Your presentations and your some sort of a certificate. We would like to listen from you, and then we will appreciate you. All that concluding session will be there. So now we will go to our next week's assignment session. I will share the.
Does anyone have a question here? Somebody was posting something.
Anybody has any question?
Saida, did you wait? I think there's
Anybody?
Yeah, so ma'am, animals disturb with camera flash. No, actually, Saida, these camera flashes, as I told you, are passive infrared camera flashes. I mean, camera traps, and they don't give out any flash.
Okay.
That's why they are all black and white.
Okay, ma'am.
Can you see can you see the
Yes, sir.
assignments? So now you, from the talk today from Dr. Aditi, you understood what an ecosystem is, right? There are many. I told you it can be even a tree hold or even your garden or a small pond or anything it can be. There are so many will be there. Identify 2 ecosystems. Okay? And 2 ecosystem in your surrounding. Anything which she has given lot of example. In that now you have 4 or 5 days or even at least of the 4 or 5 days, you just at least 3 days you should be. Now you have exams and all seriously. And in that one ecosystem 1 and ecosystem 2, take one for the ecosystem 1, the first ecosystem, the day 1. What are the living component you can identify? Now you know what is living component?
Give a name to that ecosystem. What ecosystem is that?
You can name the name the ecosystem and how many number is there nearby that you can also, if it is some small pond, U2 pond or something, if there's small anything in that number you can come. Living and non-living thing you can list here. After that, you can do write the interactions. Interactions, whatever be the interaction between the living and between the non-living and living also. All these interactions you can write it down. You just let us see how your observations are sharpened.
If you see the question in that it's written, no, for example, whether there is, a lot of sun or it's mostly shady, or whether the soil is sandy or compacted, or whether it was rain and it's damp. So all these are non-living components. So you need to figure out what kind of interaction it is playing on role on the living components.
Also, you can observe it and that interactions you can note it down. As many interactions you can identify, you can add to that. The next, similarly, you do for the day 2 and day 3.
Same ecosystem, 3 days.
3 days. Another ecosystem also has to be done 3 days. Any 3 days. Okay? Picture is clear to you? Okay, very good, Tarun. Okay.
Just spend some, maybe 1 hour in the morning or in the evening and write these observations. Don't spend a lot of time.
Okay. Half an hour, 1 hour, depending upon your availability. Then coming, they select any 2 of the ecosystems. Again, just like 2 of the ecosystem, you select it. And what you need to do, now you understood. From when you are doing this, you know what are the components there in that ecosystem. And also, what are the non-living, abiotic or non-living components there, and know how are the interactions. This understanding of all these 3-day understanding, using that understanding, you have to make a drawing about that ecosystem. If it's a pond, fish, and this and that, the plants and all.
And label. And
Just
label, yeah. And sir, if you can read out the question. Ask them to label.
First you have to draw the thing. Okay. Yeah. After drawing it, you have to label each component. Okay. First of all, you have identified already in the first assignment. Using all the knowledge which you have got from the first assignment, you make a drawing about both the ecosystem. First, in the drawing, all the components which you saw can be put together, and also labeling. Okay, what is this? This is this particular plant, not that a plant. What plant? You saw if it is a pond, water lily was there, or water hyacinth was there. This is then it is a producer. This is a decomposer. All that thing you can write it down. Whatever best way you can make a drawing based on this understanding. That relationship also should be explained from the way which you are labeling. So make a drawing, and then after the drawing, if
the entire drawing fits in this box, fine. Otherwise, paste the whole drawing in one page.
One page also. You can do the drawing. You can have your talent can be seen. The box you can make it. This is a
You can make a bigger box and just paste.
word file only. We can put the completely pull this line down and make a full page of the drawing. You can put and see that. Okay. So similarly, both the ecosystem you make a two drawing with the proper labeling. Now, again, you understood. You have two drawing properly. Two understood two ecosystems. Now you know what the two ecosystem which you have studied. Write an essay giving answer to these 6 questions. Okay, you have to write. Many times if I say anything or your observation you write, some people will write something, only one thing very elaborately. Some people write blah blah blah, so many things.
Or some people are just writing 2 lines. It's not an essay.
Essay. So some people, for example, I asked in the last assignment, I have told take one animal of whichever your favorite and write all your observation of that animal. One participant has written 2-3 lines about one animal, 2-3 lines about another animal, 2-3 lines about another animal. That is not what. Here there is an essay you write in this box. Do giving answer to this. What do you notice about the two ecosystem? How they are different? How they are similar? What plants are in the both ecosystem? Are there any plants that are present only in one? Something both it will be there in some others also. In some are in the both. Sometimes there is no similarity between these two. Or insects are the same in both or different. How they are different. Sometimes some ecosystem which you are studying, you won't not have identified any insects also. No problem. Whatever this writing should be based on your ecosystem, your observation.
You might observe a lot of things, or you might observe only few things.
The issue is that some people has written whatever they know to that, not based on your observation.
Yeah.
Some people have, even 1 or 2 people have done, when probably went into Google, from whatever you got from the Google, they have put it also. That is not allowed. This is based on your observation and your thinking. Okay. Are the insects now just like are the soil texture, rocks, and both ecosystem, non-living things the same in the both of the ecosystem? How do you learn? And your overall opinion. What all you have learned? What do you understand? Now you have understood the difference between a habitat and ecosystem. The role of a different biotic components, living organisms in the ecosystem. All whatever you understood, you can finally conclude with a paragraph of your understanding about doing all these exercise. This is the way. This is the only. Now your observations are only on two ecosystem which you identify. All are clear? Everybody is clear?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Any doubt? Please tell a doubt.
Sir, in the last third one, sir, can we draw like a table like ecosystem 1 and a line, then ecosystem 2, then we can compare?
That you can do, but I would prefer you write in free write, because I want you to write from your sort of feel and understanding.
You can make paragraphs for each of these questions.
You can make it different paragraphs.
But you write it as a story in one flow. Write what all differences and similarities you observe.
Okay.
Because if you're making a table, it is just a comparative table. It won't give you your ideas. So we want to know your ideas.
If your table, you will stick only to the facts. Your thought will not most of the time come. So you write it as a paragraph.
Okay. So can you go to the first page?
Yeah.
Yeah, I just a little bit up. Yeah. So I just wanted to, name of the participant, because in the previous assignment, we forgot to mention the name of the participant things. So kindly just write your names to that.
Don't forget to put your name here. Okay.
And of course, name of the first ecosystem, if you go a little down, write all those names. Don't miss it out.
Ecosystem and name of the second ecosystem. Here also you write the same when you after pasting your drawing, you write what is ecosystem drawing. Here also you put the name. Okay, then you write here. Yeah. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Anything more? Anybody?
Any questions? You can ask now itself.
Now we have Another 3-4 minutes you can ask if you have not only this, not only on the ecosystem, not only this. Now you have 4, 4, 5, 5. This is the 5th day. Anything based on your previous session,
Previous experiences.
or anything. Now
Any
you are now
question?
we are maturing into that 7 weeks program. 7th week there is no assignment. You are all blessings, and we are sending you back. That is, but now one more session, and a small assignment after the next session. Very small assignment. But then now you tell me if you have any thought process, and also you can tell what's the way you want to take this understanding about the nature forward. Anything? Anybody want to talk for 1 or 2 minutes?
Sir, I have a question in that birds assignment, sir.
What is that question?
Sir, sir, after I submitted the assignment, sir, after that day on Saturday, and after that I continued that observation of that Palash tree, sir, and I found, it's a totally urban area here. There are very few trees, and I found, surprisingly, I found a paradise flycatcher, a female one. It came for 1 day, but after that I couldn't see it.
Okay.
How did it come there?
What is the question?
How did it come there? How can it come into urban areas?
Many species are actually quite moving ones. For example, paradise flycatcher, many big group of part of the population, they keep moving between one location to another. So in between, it comes sometimes to the urban area also. They will pass through the urban area also. They are paradise flycatcher. One population is actually some area they are residing also. One population is even keep moving also. So on the moment, they will come different locations and keep going. So that is possible. And it is not that what is the place but which now you are calling as urban area was a natural area sometime back, not very far away. Some maybe even a few 10-20 years back also, it was probably a much more natural area. These birds would have been actually come there quite a bit in there. It must be there in their brain. They must have come through that area. Again, now you have made buildings and houses. That is not their fault. They will come. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Anybody has any other thoughts?
Julia.
Please.
Sir, I have a question.
Yes.
So it is said that tail of dog is never straight. Is it true?
What?
Tail of dog is never straight. Is it true, sir?
There are
Sir,
some,
may I answer?
Listen. There are some social proverbs, and which is it is all evolved based on certain kind of social issues people wanted to communicate. Maybe the place where this social proverbs evolved, the dogs must be having a very strongly curved tails, but all the dogs across the world don't have the completely curved tails. There are some dogs with a straight, somewhat not very flexible kind of a tail also. So, but the issue here is these kind of proverbs are not based on that particular animal. It is more based on some social meaning they want to. Some people have a character very badly bent or some particular which you cannot easily correct it. This they wanted to show, and this is a proverb came. Some, of course, if a tail which is as a that particular breed dog, if it has a very strongly curved tail, that tail bones must have been already set. That is not, they cannot change it completely. That is because that is the character of that particular thing. But there are some dogs don't have that kind of very completely curved thing, which they can easily done. It is already done. That is also done. So this is something, it's a social construct, not a natural phenomenon. You understand that? Yeah.
Thank you.
Sir, one Tenali Ramakrishna story is there, no, sir? In that he will not feed a dog for months, sir. It will be very skinny. It will not have energy. Then its tail will become straight, sir.
But
And
even
he tells that under very difficult situations, it can become straight.
this is not an issue. It's not a biological question. Okay. In the biologically, a completely curved, if it is a strongly curved tail, bending is not possible primarily because that bones are arranged in such a way that because it has a function, that kind of a function it is there. But the one, sometimes you see when the one, some kind of dogs, when it is scared, imagine it is seen, if it is seen somebody who is standing with a stone or even sometimes a leopard or something, they will go and immediately you can see because of fear, the tail will be actually bend and go between
It
its
will go
legs.
between the legs, yeah.
Between the legs. So it's all different behavioral construct of the animals. But the social proverb is because of a different reason that has nothing to do with the dog. Okay.
We humans have a habit of making all the proverbs, based on, different behaviors of animals. May not be true sometimes.
May not be true. Most of the time may not be
Most
true.
of it, it's not true.
Because the intention is not about the animal. The intention is about to talk about the human being.
Human beings' character. So they just pick up one character of one animal and they fit a proverb.
Okay, something else? Some other real...
Navya has raised her hand.
Navya did not talk about her...
Yeah, Navya, can you share your experience now that you have joined us?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Last week was actually very amazing observing the animals running behind squirrels. And the most amazing part was that when a squirrel came near to me, I observed that in the previous photographs, the squirrel was very oftenly photographed near me. For example, if I was photographing a butterfly, on the side, I could see the tail of the squirrel. And one more thing I observed that on the 2 days only, I saw 2 squirrels who had 5 stripes instead of 3. So I could not identify that species. Ma'am, which species could it be? It was just a bit larger in size. And
There are actually 3 striped and 5 striped palm squirrels. And 5 stripes are, I think, sir, mostly in northern India. I think there is a segregation between these 2 species. There are two species basically of striped squirrels. So 3 striped and 5 striped palm squirrels. These are called palm squirrels.
Thank you, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. And
good observation. I have not seen it, but yeah.
And Navya, again, your write-up was very good, very long and extensive writing about your observations and your whatever.
I think she gives in a lot of thought when she writes, which is very good.
That way it is good. Congratulations for your write-up in last week assignment. You have done very nicely, long write-up, very good. Okay.
Anything else, Navya?
Yes,
no, ma'am. I just wanted to ask the name of the squirrel.
You are right.
And I think Tarun has raised hand. Tarun Siddharth.
Yes, ma'am. When I observed that one squirrel and some, I think sparrows, ma'am, were eating together, and the squirrel and the birds didn't even mind that there was a mammal beside them. But when the birds sit near the squirrel's nest or something, the squirrel does something like that, and the birds always fly away. But why does it not mind during food, ma'am?
Tarun, this I saw you are written in your assignment also. This is a very good observation. This is I myself has observed, particularly with the babblers. What your photograph which I showed, the babblers, the bird babbler. I have seen squirrel is moving with the babblers inside the forest also, even the nature also. I don't know. There are a lot of things to learn about nature. It is not everything of what is in the nature is not known. We need to study more and more. But I myself have seen inside the forest also squirrel moving within the feeding together. Not only just come and whatever you are thrown some rice, they will come and eat. Even inside for hunting the insects and eating, moving around also, I have seen these squirrels moving for hours together along with the babblers. This is a very interesting observation. This is there everywhere in the nature. Why it is happening? We need to work out and study properly. But it is a very interesting observation. That is nice. It is happening. In how between the groups, this kind of interesting interspecies relationships are there. How they are happening, what is happening? We need to give more and more observations and study about that. Very good observation, Tarun.
Thank you, sir.
Ishani, you want to ask something?
Yes, ma'am. In my observation about my dog,
About?
A dog, ma'am.
Okay.
When it's got fever or something, its nose got dried, and it is normal. It is a little watery. I don't know why it is. This is a veterinarian said about it.
I didn't get your question actually. What is that? What is the question, Ishani? Can you just once more repeat?
Yes, sir. Actually, when a dog gets fever or something, its nose gets dried up, and when it's normal, it is little watering, sir, in the surface of the nose.
Exactly, fever we don't know. Actually, we have to ask this to some veterinary people. I have not that way closely observed. But one thing is sure, this is many in the normal condition, nose and this they will have some sort of watery fluid, wetness will be there. If it is dried, if it is because of the fever or not, we don't know. I cannot respond to that because I don't know that it very clearly. Only some veterinarian people or animal people who work on that we will know. I can't answer this question. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Vaishnavi, you want to ask something?
Yes, ma'am. We had kept some rice for the crows to eat, ma'am. We kept it on the terrace and I observed woodpeckers eating the rice, ma'am. The main food of woodpeckers are insects, and how can they eat rice that we kept for crows?
That is very interesting observation. Actually, there are many observations like this. I have seen many people are observed in the record. Even woodpecker coming to the ground and eating a fruit, normal fruit, banana fruit, I have seen. This is a very interesting observation. Actually, as is the prime, what we say the woodpeckers or many, their staple food, main food from which their energy is coming is from insects, which they take it. Once in a while, they freak out. Just like we also go for once for some snack, something which is not likely regularly our regular food. We'll go and say sort of an experimentation. They also may be doing it. We don't know. These observations are with so even though banana eating also I myself have seen it.
And when they are around humans, they tend to adapt in a very different
Yes,
way.
and I observed they mistake the cement transformers that we have near the lines, ma'am. They mistake them to be trees, and I observed they were pecking to make holes, ma'am. I felt pity for that.
No, this to become an adaptation, it has to go for a longer period. But at least they will keep on exploring what are available.
Yeah.
Keep on exploring what are available. After some time, nothing is available. Whether they can survive with this also, they will explore.
It's easily available. You're just throwing something they are eating.
Okay. Anything more? If you don't have more, we should close it now. How are you all enjoying now? This now the five weeks are over.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Very enjoyed.
This is a Salimali Center. This year we have this because of the COVID. Otherwise, we used to talk to children in front of us in our institute, but that mostly in Coimbatore children. Now we got across the country. We have 16 of you selected students. We are now seeing you talking to you are doing across the country. All this YouTube which is coming, it is there in our YouTube channel. Students are seeing it, and we are learning more and more, interacting with the children in different ways. So this is a very interesting thing. You are the first batch of first batch of students through which we are trying to reach out to as many number of students as possible. You have done wonderful program for the last 1 week, what is 5 weeks, and we please understand SACON will help you even after this 7 weeks or so. You can anytime interact with us. Myself and Aditi will be there to help you throughout your career if you are interested in nature and nature related activities. If you want to, whatever thing you wanted to learn, we will help you all. But now, next week, only 2 more weeks to go. Of which 1 week.
You guys tired?
Are you tired? Are you fed up?
No, ma'am.
No, ma'am.
Waiting to observe more things, ma'am.
Okay, good.
Great.
Great. Nice to see you all. I think Aditi, we can close today.
Yes. So thank you all for joining today. And next week we'll be having some interesting stuff. It'll be on birds basically. And we'll try to teach you about a website called eBird. I don't know if many of you know about
Ma'am,
it.
I know about it.
Created an account in it also.
Yes, ma'am. eBird
So
and
now
Banyan.
we want all of you to create account.
1 minute. How many of you have eBird account of the 16 people?
Ritvik and Vivan, I think.
We have it.
Ma'am, me too, ma'am.
Shani also.
Shani, okay. Now
So
don't worry. What I said next week, what we
we'll teach you how to.
Three session will be there. One is small session about till now, whatever your observations are on through observing, seeing, how by closing your eyes and hearing how to learn about nature. We will have a small session. Then we will talk about, now you have learned about birds and its ecology, how to identify bird. Person like Ritik may not require. Ritik is already, Ritik and Vivan probably, you will be already looking for the bird. But for all others, various diversity of the birds, some sort of a bird identification, how to identify a bird, some small session will be there. And finally, after identification, to get introduced to the world of bird watchers, the whole world bird watchers are nowadays uploading the data into the global website called eBird, which we will tell you how to start to register it and how to put your data into that and become a known bird watcher. Okay. After that, we will have these 3 things, and then the next week assignment will be your own bird watching and how you put in the web. That's a very small. You have put in the eBird data. Then you most importantly, each one of you have to make a 5-minute presentation, not more than 5 minutes.
Not next week, but last week.
Last week, 27th. That is for the last week. Then you have a 27th, the final concluding.
Are you all acquainted with the PowerPoint presentations and preparing PowerPoint presentations?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Anybody who doesn't know
Video.
it? Anybody who doesn't know it?
Ma'am, video, ma'am.
Video, but who's going to speak in the video?
Ma'am, means like all my observations, photos, write-ups, thoughts, one video I'm making instead of PowerPoint.
So I hope you will be speaking and nobody else.
Yes, ma'am, I'll speak, ma'am, and only 5 minutes.
Yeah, only 5 minutes.
Good.
Only 5 minutes.
Then I'll be at last, ma'am.
You want to be at last? Okay, we'll decide that.
That we will decide.
That we will decide. Mostly it will be the same order that I usually pick up the names
for. You are speaking only 5 minutes, whether last or first, how does it matter? You are taking only 5 minutes.
So I'm sure all of you, anybody who doesn't know the PowerPoint thing or has any problem with presenting? No, right? Ishani, you have a question?
Yes, ma'am. What about reptiles, ma'am? We don't have a session about reptiles.
Maybe we'll do that.
If you have any question, you can ask now.
No,
you are interested in reptiles, I remember you told. Huh?
No doubts, but I love to learn about reptiles, so that I want a session.
That is
maybe
good.
Maybe after this, when I come to visit the Salim Ali Ornithology Society,
sure,
I will ask doubts.
Yeah, why we didn't have reptile-based session, because we couldn't give you an assignment related to it. So it would have been a little difficult for you to do it. And many people have...
About lizards, ma'am, lizards are harmless.
Lizards.
Everything is harmless. Snakes are harmless. Everything is harmless. It's just we who are harmful, actually. So,
another thing, actually, though we have not given reptiles, 2 of the members have written in the mammal assignment, I have asked, given the assignment is given, identify the mammal, they have to return, one person return spectacle cobra. Another person is written snake. All that is also there. So that has to be, unfortunately, those people are not there today. Today they didn't come. Anyway, we have to check why they are not come. Aditi. The two people are not.
Yes.
Two people are not.
Yeah.
So all the best for today and for the next 1 week. Enjoy.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you,
Okay.
sir.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
Bye. Thank you.
Sir.
Bye.